if I were to form a relationship with an extraterrestrial
Mm-hmm.
and I give him like a little USB, and the extraterrestrial in their technology goes up there and puts on some kind of a speaker onto the earth and plays one of my tracks, it will unify humanity. They might get ununified, but they'll be unified because everyone will be listening to one sound at the same time.
Hey, what's up, everybody? That was Equanimous, Around the World, and we get into a great chat here on the podcast today. Sorry for being late with episodes this month. There's going to be like 4 or 5 episodes that are all going to drop next week. Just timing and things and stuff. You know how things get sometimes. But have no fear, there will be some great episodes coming out as well, just like this one. So before we get started, let's just thank the people that make this show possible. Big shout out to everybody that leaves 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. It helps the search algorithm when people are looking for shows about like psychedelics and consciousness and reality and mushrooms and music and all kinds of things that we talk about on the show. People search there, they're more likely to find Micadelic the more ratings and reviews we have. So much love to all of you that go and do that. It really helps a lot. That's like the biggest thing that you could do, really, is just leave ratings and reviews, tell people about the show. And also, if you're interested in joining the Patreon, we do have bonus episodes, early release episodes. We have a Discord community of people all around the world sharing, chatting, talking, and connecting, forming a little community. Got to talk about Element Kombucha because it's awesome. Element Kombucha is amazing. Big shout out to Element Kombucha. Thank you for sending me, I think like 12 bottles of your kombucha. My favorite is definitely the Mountain Oolong. Ooh, baby. It is good. It is really, really good. And I like this kombucha a lot because of the really interesting flavors and because it's not too fizzy. Sometimes you get a kombucha and it's just like bubbling over in your mouth and you can't even drink it. It's like you're just drinking all these bubbles and it's like not that comforting. So this is like the perfect balance. It's elemental. Yeah, it's really great. So put in the code Mike11. Go to elementkombucha.com. All the links will be in the show notes. But this is our newest sponsor, and I love them. Let's support these guys. Let's go order some kombucha. And go check out their information and stuff. The links in the show notes. They're doing really great things. Really top quality herbs and sourcing locally and making really quality kombucha. And I love them. It's my new favorite kombucha. So Element Kombucha, the code is Mike11, you get 11% off. And Fungi Academy, go check those guys out. They are doing some awesome things. If you want to learn how to grow mushrooms, if you want to learn about psychedelic journeying, check them out. Being True to You is also a one-of-a-kind coaching training program. Go check those guys out as well. All the links are in the show notes. Everything that you want to hear. You want to hear Equanimous's music on Spotify or his website or wherever, links in the show notes. And that's it. You know what to do if you love this show. Like it, share it, spread it, subscribe, tell people about it, do the things I told you about, support our sponsors so they keep supporting us and we keep putting out awesome shows like this one. So without further ado, let's get in this conversation with Equanimous.
Psychedelics are illegal not because
a loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window, psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open to us the possibility that everything we know is wrong.
We don't need new laws that control our consciousness and rigidly place it in a prison.
Cognitive liberty. The fact that as adults, if we're not hurting anybody else, we should have the right to explore the contours of our own consciousness without any mediation or legislation on the part of somebody else.
Reject authority. Authority is a lie.
Voice of perception.
Information is power, but we have to seize the opportunity. The opportunity.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, all right. Good thing we're not doing it live. This is a good thing about recording.
Right. I get it. That makes a lot more sense.
Anyway.
I can turn my input volume up a little bit.
I think you're good now. I see the bars on your end. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that we were capturing it. The worst thing in the world is to just keep going and then realize, we didn't get it. So, looks good on my end. Sounds good. Hopefully, we will be free from any interruptions thus far.
Great. I love it.
Okay, so yeah, we were talking about dyslexia, and just a little context. I have the kind where I switch letters.
You switch the
around
letters
when I write. Yeah,
what's
when
that
I
like?
read.
Can you do it at all?
I'm just always making it's frustrating because, you know, people will be like, "Oh, there's a spelling error there, or there's a typo there, or typos always in text messages or things like that." And you know, I don't say anything really. I'm not like, "Oh, I have like a minor dyslexia where I switch vowels." It's usually vowels.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
And it's usually in the middle of letters.
yeah.
And middle of words.
That's probably tricky.
A little bit.
But you
yeah.
you can retain though. You can retain.
I can retain information.
That's good. That's good.
You know, for the most part. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult when I'm smoking a lot of cannabis, which
you know I
tend to do.
I'm a lot better with nonfiction, with like fact. Like I can read like an article. Well, I can read an article, you know, or like something where I don't have to imagine something. It's like a lot of it's in these non-fictional things. It's like, oh, they're painting a picture and I just can't get my brain to see that picture. That's been the issue. And I never like was like, I have a disability. I didn't like, you know, I just, to be honest, I kind of just cheated a lot. I cheated a lot, which kind of got me by, but
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
not that I recommend cheating. I don't think that's the best thing to do.
What, in school?
Yeah.
Go ahead and cheat, kids. School sucks anyway.
Well, if you're going to say it.
I'm going to say it. Yeah, I'm going to say
Yeah,
it.
there you go. Yeah.
Well, this will take us into your story here because
sure.
I think that well, yeah. How did you get into music?
I was just born into it. My parents were taking me to concerts in the womb. My family has a musical background. When I was 2 years old, I was playing drums. I was the baby that was banging on trees with, sticks and stuff. Definitely like a YouTube baby before there was YouTube kind of thing. That just
like you would have went viral?
Oh yeah, definitely as like one of these babies. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's even some stuff on me online that I've like kind of salvaged these videos. I posted yesterday one of me beatboxing over my kid self, which was kind of fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And then just started playing guitar. Well, really it was drums. Started with drums, piano, guitar. Didn't really take much lessons. Kind of just taught myself. And then started producing music when I was 12. And then that led into high school. I was fortunate enough to be in an electronic music course in my public high school. Every kid had their own keyboard. Yeah, very cool. And then by the last year, I was the TA in the class, and yeah, it just kept going. Then I was in college, was more in kind of like the mainstream space a little bit, and then kind of left drinking culture, got into psychedelic culture, and Equanimous was born.
Equanimous was born in college.
No, Equanimous was born like 5 years after college.
Okay.
Like when I was, I'm 32 now. I started Equanimous when I was 26 or 27, one of those ages.
Yeah. So you had good parents. You had a good upbringing. You have
great parents.
They're the best in the world. Because
I love my parents.
Yeah, they encouraged you. They fostered your development.
They encouraged me to play music, and they and my extended family. My grandfather played a big role in this because he actually wrote a symphony, and he has a symphony that was performed in Bulgaria and in other places and recorded. And it's actually one of the top selling symphonies on Amazon right now, which isn't a big deal because
what is it called?
It's called Remembrance. Classical music doesn't sell very much.
I love classical music.
I said, "Oh, you do? Oh, check it out then."
Yeah.
It's called Remembrance. It was made of kind of like the Jewish people when they had to leave, and it's a cool thing. But he was a doctor for until he was 60 something, and then made this symphony. So, he and my family have really pushed this idea of do music, play, have fun, but don't rely on it, and make sure that you have a career outside of it. And so they were not supportive of me not working. They didn't get that. My grandfather, I remember, would always say, 1 in a million chance you're going to, Well, I can tell you, I actually, a couple years ago, I signed a contract with my grandfather, and he said, he was like, "I'm really worried about you, Nate. He didn't get it. He's like, I know you're doing this whole thing, but when's it gonna he was like,
is it sustainable?
Concerned. Now it's sustainable. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I made a deal with him. He made me sign a contract. And I said this was years ago, but the contract that I signed with him was, if by January 22nd, by January 1st, 2022, I am not fully sustaining myself off of this living, then I have to leave the career path of music totally, which was a bold thing for me to sign, but I was so confident in myself. And I got there I was probably a year early.
Congratulations.
But, yeah, thanks.
Nice.
It felt so good to have that call with him and be like, hey, I did it. And he was proud, and also still doesn't get it, but proud.
What is it that he doesn't get?
I don't think he gets that. I have fans, I don't think he to him, it's still there's a lot of people that when you don't know someone in the music space, or you're not you just don't know the industry, a lot of musicians are people see them differently, and I think in a lot of people's brains, especially those who are musicians who haven't necessarily sustained themselves off their music, because I know this because I was like this when I was younger. I felt like as a musician, you either made it or you didn't. It was all or nothing. And the making it seemed so far away vibrationally that it just seemed like it wasn't even a thing. I've talked about this before, but what helped a lot was I went to college with and lived with a guy named Drew Taggart, who is the Chainsmokers, who is with half of the Chainsmokers, and so I was able to see a friend succeed at a massive, massive level. I mean, we're talking about highest paid DJs in the world some years, and so to witness that and to feel that vibe and see that it's of normalcy, It might not appear to be of normalcy, but it's of normalcy in the sense that it's just a human being doing their job. And to see that's possible, and to feel what that possibility is like on an energetic cellular level. It added like a normalcy to what I'm doing, I guess, and although I am not at that level yet, with my career, I still am in a place where I can put food on the table. And I think that that's what, some of my family perhaps didn't understand, is that there is a middle ground. There is this middle ground of living a successful life without being on top 40 radio.
Right. Yeah. And not just put food on the table, but high vibe food.
High vibe food, exactly.
Yeah,
Organic.
Checking out that Instagram. We'll talk about that.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
But that's such a good point, because I think we were like the last generation that grew up in that time period where there was like the mainstream general consensus standard version of making it, which is like the top 40, what's on the TV, that kind of thing. Now, people have fans and are making money. There's podcasts that I know of people who are making $60,000 a month off their Patreon. Nobody knows who they are.
What?
Nobody knows who they are. Yeah. Like they just
Doing
have
what?
Just doing a podcast.
Wow.
Like, see, exactly.
Good
You're like,
for them.
You're
Yeah,
like,
good for
what?
them.
Like, these we're able to kind of like, the genres and the avenues for success are more diverse now,
right,
than they were before.
And,
there's more paths.
Right. And I do think that, there is a big opportunity for independent musicians. And I am very hesitant to say that word independent musician, because I have changed stances on this. I used to be very pro independent musician, and I still am, but I don't like using that language, because I don't think any musician should be independent. I think every single musician should have a label. Whether they are their own label is different. But the idea of an independent musician, meaning that there is no label involved or no label services, feels like you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage, right? I believe that as, an independent musician, one should either be on a label where someone else is playing the business, or they are their own label where they are playing the business, but they're doing it in a way where they don't see it as them doing it from an independent musician self, where they see it as like, I am my own label and the only artist is me. That's
Is that what you did?
A topic of late.
High Vibe Records?
No, I mean, I guess it is. Well, I never really wanted to be an independent musician ever. I still don't even like have that desire. I like the idea of support and having a team.
Sure.
I had released with some labels before, Jumpsuit, AA, Gravitas. I've had different experiences with them. Gravitas was an amazing experience. I really liked releasing with them, and I always recommend them as a label. Jumpsuit, I am grateful for, because they got me on the map, even though I don't think that their label services are the same as some other labels. And the head of the label, David, Polish ambassador, he'll admit that, he's
okay, cool.
He's not trying to be like a big label or anything.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful human being. But after releasing with both of them, I realized that I actually could do it better, and I have been doing it better, and better. And I don't know if better is the right word, because Gravitas really is great. Like they do some things that I have not done for myself. So, pros and cons, but I will say that, having a label, High Vibe Records, has definitely helped Equanimous. And I think Equanimous has helped High Vibe Records also. Awesome.
Yeah. How do you balance being fully engaged, creative, making your art? You put out 2 albums this year and last year, right?
I put, EPs last year, albums this year. Or I put out an album a year ago in October, and then I put another one in August. But I've put out, in the last 3 years, I put out 135 songs.
Okay. Yeah.
So
wow.
so I'm releasing a lot of music. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and the way
output.
that I do it. I mean, at one time there was a period of time where I was working 16 to 20 hour days. No joke.
Yeah.
That was too heavy for me because getting 5 hours of sleep and working the whole entire day with no stops besides meals, was causing stress and I didn't like it.
So like fully creating music, right? So then how do you balance
that was a combination
that with the business element?
That and the business, right?
Yeah.
I've fully delegated the label for the most part. We have a staff of 5 and a label manager who's wonderful. And the label manager, she also kind of acts as an assistant for me. So that has helped tremendously. And I would say that my role on the label at this point is just like having kind of the executive conversations, overseeing things and taking on new music and like finding artists and that kind of thing, which, took a lot of time to start. Now, 10 to 20 hours a week covers that for the most part.
And you enjoy it.
Oh yeah. I get to hear some unbelievable music, especially before it comes out. I feel like the amount of times where I've gotten a song that I love and I've just cried to it. And I'm like, wow, I'm the only one besides the artist that's heard this song and it's epic and it's going to change people's lives. It's, great.
Wow, that's amazing. Can you think of one like recently that you don't mind sharing?
Sure. Yeah. A very, very profound, powerful experience. I was, and oftentimes I feel like some of these songs lyrically will also kind of like make sense in the time of the, there's this whole spiritual aspect of that. Before I go into this too, just to answer the follow up, I mainly spend most of my time on Equanimous. And then, like I said, 10, 20 hours a week, whatever, on High Vibe Records, which used to be different. The song that I just received is I was at my friend's wedding, one of our mutual friends, a friend of our mutual friend also. And I've known those guys since I was 5 years old, big group of them, and haven't seen them for a while because of the pandemic, and they have different viewpoints than I do, for sure, without a doubt, on the pandemic. We both respect each other, and we still love each other. But, I wasn't going into it. It felt a little different. And, but once I got there, being around them, sharing all the love, all that stuff, it was just like back to the boys. And, I had a great weekend. When all the festivities were over, whole weekend thing, Friday, Sunday comes around, I'm walking around in New Orleans and I get email saying I just received a new track. It's a remix that someone actually did of one of my own tracks. And After the Fall remix that he did of my track Balance is Key. And I put it on and just the feeling when you get the goosebumps in your body and just tears start to kind of come up and then out. And, I think in combination of that moment of just feeling like reflection and gratitude and like peace, like a not a tired peace, but a content, active peace, almost you could say. Track came through, listened to it, and just it felt like it was the soundtrack of that moment in my life at that moment. And so I'm excited about that. It made me feel like, wow, I'm excited for other people to hear this. It's a really beautiful song.
Wow.
And he did a great job. Yeah. And that's one, and that kind of answers also like how I'm able to get a lot of music out there. I didn't produce this track at all. I made the original track and then I sent the stems to After the Fall and he did the remix. So that's a track that, didn't take me time to do, but I still get to release it.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love the collaboration element in music,
Yes,
and like you were saying too, with the label stuff, like you really do need a team to support you. I think the myth of like the lone wolf, like out there just tinkering away and then comes up with some magic. It's like, yeah, maybe a couple times.
Yeah. I think it comes from people that, because I've felt that too. And I'm pretty sure that comes from people who are dissatisfied with the industry. Like they don't like that they have not got support and that support isn't just handed to them, right? Because some artists it is just handed to. But most artists, I feel like, do have some kind of a relationship to work to get that support. And I think that those where it didn't get handed, but they either don't know how to do the work or they're not willing to. Usually that's that they don't know how to. A lot of musicians tend to work really hard for their careers, I feel like, and their success, you know?
Yeah. What does that look like? What is doing the work? Like what's the sort of high vibe, balanced way of, you know, being in full alignment with being a servant to the beats?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things one can do. I do, as I was saying, you know, I think it's a result, like the result of people not doing that work or doing that work and failing. I think does kind of start this pushing of like, no, you can be an independent artist and do it on your own and blah, blah. And it's a lot of people get in that trap. But doing the work, I think, one, it's figuring out what to do. Okay. Taking courses, talking to people that you trust, talk to people who have succeeded already, and learning what to do. After you learn what to do, you do it until you succeed. You just don't stop. You know what I mean? And if you stop, then you quit. It's easy. It's simple. And for me, what that looked like, you know, and it's a lot of things. For me, what it looked like was signing influencers, getting influencers to run play. Really, it started kind of the foundation of with playlists, because playlists will give you passive streams, which results in passive income. It also boosts your stats, which then gets you more fans, which then gets you paid more at shows.
Yeah. Is this like on Spotify?
On Spotify. It's all about Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, yeah.
70% of the whole entire market. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, wow.
The streaming market. So, and also Spotify is where like bookers and people look to on where to place on lineups and different things like this, you know, and you can see where someone's fan base is. And so for me, it's been all about playlists for about the last 3 years. And so the question was, all right, how do I get that? What do I do? And so it was like signing influencers, doing this, growing playlists, trades, all that stuff. And you get a little blue light there.
Yeah, I just turned blue, man. I just got these new floodlights in my studio, and I'm testing them out, but
it's a vibe.
I don't know. Yeah. We'll just go with that. Yeah,
whatever you want.
Sorry to distract you.
No, it's all good. But doing, you know, that's what my doing the works looks like, you know, networking, honestly, like going out to events where I might meet people who could help. That's the biggest thing that any musician could do, is socialize.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Okay.
Yeah.
You're a musician, just socialize with people in the industry. You know, if I was taking the approach of like getting signed to another label and just not taking this on my own, I would have a different work. I wouldn't need to focus on playlists as much. I would focus on my relationships and different things, you know? So yeah, I think that answers the question.
How was it for you during the pandemic time? Like when things weren't really happening too much, you know,
I mean,
getting out, doing festivals and stuff, like doing shows, concerts, traveling around. I'm sure you probably had gigs all over the world, right?
I did. The first gig that got canceled was Bali. It was actually in Bali.
Damn.
You know, it's okay. I still was there for earlier. It's all good.
Oh, cool.
But the pandemic, I would say, drastically helped my career. It was a very big boost for me. And the reason is because instead of focusing on live shows, I focused on my online presence, which, you know, in the span of those 2 years, probably like 30x'd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it was good because I had played a lot of live shows before. I just done 80 shows in like a little over a year in that past time. And so I had the kind of some momentum building, but online I hadn't really had the success I wanted. So, I would say that kind of when the pandemic happened, it shifted my brain into this like, Nate, you're going to work until the pandemic's over, and just nonstop. And I can honestly say that for me, obviously the pandemic's still happening, but for me, it's ending in about 2 weeks, because that's when, like, I've set up the label, I've done everything I needed to do, and now I can kind of like dive in and focus more back in on my music and travel. And yeah, so for me, it feels like I put in my 2 years, and I guess maybe at the end, I don't know, it feels like I put in my time. And
yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have to keep working until the end of pandemic, until we're all dead, basically. You know, we're like 95, like it's still the pandemic. Right.
I know, right? It's oh man, that's.
But dude, it was so awesome seeing you. So at Unison Festival, this festival was amazing. It was
such a good festival.
My first real festival. I went to a small one. Sorry, my first real festival since the pandemic.
Since the pandemic.
Yeah. Baby's first festival.
Right.
No, but I went to see Closey in Wyoming. And like maybe a couple months before, it was her and some friends, and then I saw this Unison thing, and I was like, wow, this looks really cool. And for me, I'll listen to music online, you know, stream, you know, stuff, but when I'm there and it's a moment and there's a vibe and it's just like, whoa, like what is going on? So your set was just phenomenal, man, to watch you play.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Watch you play all the instruments and, you know, the setup and your energy on stage, and, you know, you just were like so in the zone, and, you know, the beatboxing and, you know, taking it up and down and all around. It was just really, it was just dope, you know.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And me and all my friends were just like, you know, like, it's like, wow, like this is so impactful because we're here at this moment. You know? So there's something special about those live shows and then hanging out afterwards and stuff. And
yeah, I loved how organic it was when we met that night. Just kind of like running into each other. Hey, what? Who are you? Wait, do I know you? What? That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was pretty lifted on all sorts of amazing medicines, I'll call them.
As festival culture can hold the space for.
Yes, totally. I mean, I just if I could be a professional festival person, that's what I would be. That's the job.
It's kind of what I do.
It's pretty awesome.
That's my workspace. In fact, I don't even, like, someone asked me if I wanted to go to a festival or something that I wasn't playing, and I was just like, why would I go to work? I'm not working. Right. Which to me, like in the past, I was like, whoa, I used to go to so many festivals for fun.
Yeah.
And I love festivals. They're very fun, you know. Burning Man's probably the only one I would go to at this point without playing, even though if I went to Burning Man, I would play. So, yeah.
Well, it's just what you do, right? I mean, that's where you get your joy. Right. Like it's just like playing music. Right. I wish I had an ounce of musical ability. I probably have an ounce, but I got it. But I mean, I don't know the intricacies of music and keys, and I don't even know the terminology really. I love music though. I'm such a huge music fan, and it's really just a feeling based thing for me. If I feel it, and I want to move to it. You know, or I want to take it into if it's a different kind of tone or something, you know, meditate to or whatever. Who are your biggest influences growing up and throughout your career?
First influence ever was Paul Simon, without a doubt.
Oh, okay, cool.
Graceland album.
Hell yeah.
2 years old. I was 2 years old, was begging my mom to put the video album on replay with Ladysmith Black and Bazo. Is that Ladysmith Black and Bazo? That's what it's saying? Yeah. That album changed, like that was, you know, that album was very important to me. And I think that the combination of having Ladysmith Black and Bazo on top of, like, with Paul Simon as that album, to add that like world African-y, like so much joy, just so high vibe. That album is just blissing through the roof of high vibes. that was my foundation. And then, you know, of course, I was in high school. I got involved with Blink-182 and Goo Goo Dolls and Taking Back Sunday and all the emo kind of that stuff. And that was like the first time where I was kind of diving deep into like emotional music, the relationship between emotions and music. And at that time I was making kind of emo-y stuff. It's in this like self group called Against the Majority. It's very not high vibe lyrics, not negative, but more just like venting lyrics.
Yeah. Angsty.
And yeah. Which is great. And there's a point for that and it can make people heal, but it's not what I'm here on the planet to do necessarily. Then I was changed drastically when I heard Yonsi and Yonsi of Sigur Rós. And you listen to Sigur Rós at all? You know that? No, they're amazing. Their music is like, it's almost like neoclassical post-rock.
Oh, okay.
And it also very emotional, but they don't sing in any kind of language. It's just made up words, like light language almost. And to be able to feel emotion expressed that way opened up a huge thing for me. So we've got this like Paul Simon kind of fun, uplifting vibe, this like epic, ethereal, cinematic vibe with Yonsi. And to be honest, the third kind of like in person that came and like changed that for me was Deadmau5. And I didn't expect it to be Deadmau5. I was actually with Drew from the Chainsmokers. We were at Lollapalooza together, and I didn't really know too much about electronic music. And the Killers were playing at the same time as Deadmau5. So I was like, oh, great. I love the Killers. We'll go see the Killers. And Drew was like, no, I want to see Deadmau5. And so Deadmau5 was like on the way to the Killers. So I kind of was just going to like go and drop him off. And then I did. I went and dropped him off and I went to see the Killers. And didn't think anything of it. Heard the sounds and I was like, fuck, this is good. What's this? Dope. Then I don't remember maybe it was outside. I don't know. Deadmau5 was playing in a big field. I feel like it was in San Francisco. And I was like, another situation where it was like him and someone else. And I was like, all right, this time I'm going to see part of him. I forget the situation entirely, but I remember that I heard these extreme, you know what? I think I was actually in LA with Drew again and some other people, but I heard these tones that I had never heard before. And the quality of the sounds were so crisp and so electronically perfected that it made my body feel things that I hadn't before. And that was big. And then I remember the next time I saw Sigur Rós live, I kept on thinking, this is amazing. And it's making me feel connected to spirit. And I also want to hear these like super crisp tones so I can dance in a certain way.
Yeah.
You know? And then I started getting to dance and movement and all that stuff. And yeah, I guess like the three of those people have probably been my biggest influences, even though my music is nothing like Deadmau5 or, I mean, a little bit like Yonsi, a little bit like Paul Simon, but, yeah. And then, you know, I think ultimately there's always kind of been like a hip hoppy kind of making beats, bass music kind of vibe to me as a person, just kind of like basketball culture, you know, that I'm big into basketball and that whole thing. And so adding those kind of like bassy hip hop beats, trappy stuff into the mix of those three things kind of all encompasses Equanimous.
Hell yeah, man. Sick. Yeah, that's awesome. That's, you're like, oh yeah, it doesn't really sound like this, or it sounds a little bit like this, but I think it's more about sort of what the artist is doing with their instruments or their intention, totally. the feeling that you're receiving, like you said, in your body. You said connected to spirit. You said spirit and spirituality a couple times, so I kind of makes me want to ask you about that like element in your life growing up and how that aspect emerged and what it means to you now.
Yeah, sure. There's always been a sense of that growing up. I'd say like in the past, it was more like logical and more like trying to think my way into evolution, which, you know, as a kid is healthy. And I think it's good as long as you come out of it. And so like, I would say kind of my relationship with spirit growing up was like, I just felt that feeling of like something bigger, didn't know what was going on. Felt like, destined for great things. Of course, grew up in the 90s where music is telling us that there's only one person in our life for us, and that, you can make it, and all that stuff. And I guess I always kind of felt, my relationship with spirit was like a little bit egoic. It was kind of made me feel better than everyone, in certain ways, because like I was surrounded by people that weren't as, spiritually connected or devoted as I. And, I think I really started to understand it once I started to hang out with like, I'll say like the depth of my consciousness grew a lot, kind of exponentially, once I started to hang out with some actors, because actors practice consciousness. Like they literally practice identifying as a being and then being another being.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and that's exactly what it means to like, to watch yourself. There's, I often don't see a difference, in fact.
You don't see a difference in?
I don't see a difference in like being removed from your ego or from yourself and like being the watcher of yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eckhart Tolle, all that.
Right.
I don't see much of a difference between doing that and acting in a movie as a different character.
Okay, right.
And so actors practice that. And so just being around actors in that vibrations, the ones, it's not all of them get it, but the ones who get it and have that self-realization and awareness, it helped me. And so that in combination with, psychedelics and different things, and like the desire for healing and the desire for delight, I think, it opened a new realm of spirituality. And then as I began to listen more and as I began to get guidance from other people, I think, and as I shifted from having my awareness be from my head to my body, which I think most Americans are naturally living their awareness in their brains.
Oh yeah.
An athlete, maybe not as much, because an athlete's in their body a lot. I would say that I'd say that in general, women are a little bit more in their hearts and less in their minds. I don't even when my awareness goes to my mind, words don't really like come in. It doesn't work like it used to, and so I think as I just practiced being in my body, like having my awareness be in my body, in my heart, in my limbs, not necessarily up there, and then did some different medicines that kind of cleared that on a cellular level, like, or actually physically level, iboga specifically. I think that that opened up more space to be able to talk with, connect with, have a relationship with spirit, nature, universe, divinity, that entity, that energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearing.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, and now I do feel like it's strong in the sense that I feel like we are co-living, coexisting, and living as one at the same time, spirit and I. So it doesn't feel like, I can feel the presence of spirit whenever I need to tap into it, and all the time. And also, like, if I'm playing basketball and like I'm shooting a free throw, I don't necessarily feel spirit in that moment. Maybe I do if I need to, but I don't. It's not like it's overbearing at all.
Right. Yeah. You're not living in the mind where then you can sort of, everybody, I used to play sports and you'd be like, oh, you got to get out of your head.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're not, baseball, wrestling, nice. Football. Yeah. Nice. I mean, I would play, I'm like 5'8", so, I can't, I played basketball up until I just like
rec.
Yeah, like I would play games. Like I had a buddy actually who was he was a phenomenal basketball player and went college for basketball and everything, but like broke his hand. It was like a shitty situation. It was like heartbreaking. Yeah, but he was phenomenal, in our small town outside of New York City, just in the suburbs, and like we would just go to the local park and we would play, and it would be like me and him and another guy who was kind of chubby, and we would challenge like the dudes that would just be there all day, every day, just balling, and we play them for money and stuff because they would be like,
fun.
Yeah, they'd be like these like little white boys, like they don't know,
Right.
they're not gonna. And my friend was just draining threes like every game, and all I had to do was just pass him the ball and set picks.
That's
So
funny.
yeah,
That's cool. That's fun.
yeah. So I grew up a big basketball fan, and then I don't play too much anymore, although I would.
First game of the season tonight, NBA.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Yep. Nets,
What-
Bucks, Lakers, Warriors.
What's you have a team or?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on the Celtics, so they'll always be my favorite team.
Okay.
And I love the Celtics, and I'll always root for them. And, having lived out in California for a while, I do have a love for the Warriors. I love the Warriors, and I would love to see them succeed. I think that I started getting into the Warriors more after Kevin Durant left. And Steph Curry is probably my favorite player. I mean, I like Bol too, but in a different way.
Yeah, they're
I
unbelievable.
love Steph Curry. He's got the same birthday as me. I like how he goes about the game, and what he does is unbelievable. I also really love James Wiseman, the drafted last year to the Warriors. One reason being that my other best friend, Aaron, who is a coach and he works out of Miami, he actually trained James Wiseman. And so right before he went into the league. So there's a personal connection to that as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I don't really tap into sports too much anymore, but man, growing up, I was, New York Yankees, Knicks, Rangers in hockey.
You were all of it. Yeah, I was the same.
All that,
Red
and it was
Sox,
just,
Patriots,
but it was just like that. They were winning, they were good.
Oh yeah,
and then after so at some point, they just all started to stink. I mean, the Jets always stunk.
Right.
That's just not worth it. No. but yeah. So you're talking about connecting with spirit and everything, and I mean the connection with athletes, musicians, everybody that does something that they truly love. There's a space there's a place where time and space kind of ceases to exist, and it's oftentimes referred to as like a flow state. Would you say
Sure.
that do you equate the two, like feeling spirit and feeling a flow state, or are they separate?
Yeah. So that flow state, I feel I'm in it. Do you know what I mean? Like I talk from that space all the time. I mean, 99% of the time. I'd say the 1% of the time is when I'm like, maybe there's a delicate situation and I need to be cautious about what I'm going to say. And so I can't just flow from my heart and my system from the flow space. I need to I need to think about what I'm going to say, I guess.
Like you're being interrogated by a sheriff or something.
Sure. Yeah. Or well, no, not that, because hopefully that will never happen. But like more like I'm talking to a friend about maybe something that I didn't like that they are doing because it's hurting someone else or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, just being that doesn't happen.
Trying to be more cautious,
mindful,
being mindful. Yeah.
But like 99% of the time when I'm using words, it's the same thing as when I'm playing basketball, as when I'm making music. It's being in that flow state. And that's something that I've taken a lot of pride in and practiced living my life in that flow state that you speak of, because I feel like it brings the most delight and the most joy. And it's the most, it's like the most productive in a way. It's, it's the best solution in a lot of ways. And I think that there are certain things that a human can do to get themselves in that state. And I think it depends on the human. For me, it's like, the ability to wake up without an alarm is extremely helpful. I always had a problem waking up with alarms growing up. And now that I don't have an alarm, I wake up early if I want to. It's all good. But like stuff like that is really helpful in being able to just be in that flow all the time. Which I think for athletes and a lot of people, they might not be as spiritual, so they're not, or they're not as, they don't prioritize that in their day to day as much. But they can on the court or on stage,
Yeah, totally.
But I prioritize it in my day to day.
That's amazing. Yeah, I never wake up to an alarm clock. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
It's the best thing in the world. if you haven't done it, just, you got to do it. Get rid of that buzzing. Man, I used to work a job in New York, and I would wake up to the buzzing at like 6 a.m. It was nightmarish. Yeah. And it takes a toll. It's really soul sucking, to be waking up to that buzzing, and then you're getting onto a subway and going underground. It's dark out, and then you work all day under these fluorescent lights. It's really soul crushing. And so I was like, oh, I'm not doing this again. But yeah, the body has like an internal alarm clock, sort of, it just wakes you up when it feels you're ready to wake up. And
right. And there you go. And then that can, right. What day are you going to have more of a flow state day? The one where your body wakes up where it wakes up in flow, or the one where it wakes up because of an external factor that you've decided and not the natural flow? Right. Because in order to be in flow state, you need to be connected to the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I lived in the Peruvian Amazon for a little while.
Ayahuasca out there, I bet.
Yeah. I was working at an ayahuasca center. That's actually where I met my partner, Jenna.
Really? What was it, Temple Away Light?
That's exactly, yeah.
Was Temple Away Light?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
I had a good friend, Nick Newtoo, that Nick? That he was out there for a while.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's so cool you worked there.
It was amazing. It was such an amazing experience, but I don't ever recall waking up to an alarm clock. I think I woke up to like frogs burping or something,
the frog clock.
And it's just so beautiful. It's like, it's what the body wants. And we live in a world where, it's the difference between force versus flow. There's like the majority of the world is operating under conditions of force. And if you're, tapped into a flow, you can kind of escape from that world of force and make it work for yourself.
Yeah, it's great. I think the diet also helps a lot with that too.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. That's definitely something that I want to be better at.
Sure.
Because I always feel great when I'm eating really, as you put it, high vibe foods.
High vibe, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about this. Talk to me about the food, the diet. Was there a point in time where you weren't doing that and you had to change, or had this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was eating like shit in college. I grew up with some OCD, and I talked to someone who told me that it might be because of different foods that I'm eating. And once I adjusted my diet, the OCD did get drastically better. And also, I graduated college at 190 pounds. And 2 months later, once I started changing things, was 150.
2 months?
It was a big change for me.
Did you do like a detox?
I wasn't trying to lose weight. No. I just started eating different. It started with eliminating processed foods and sugar. Mm-hmm. That's where it started. And that step alone made me lose the weight. Now I'm at the point where I'm pesticide free, meaning I don't eat any food unless it's organic, and I don't have dairy. And those two, nor do I really eat much soy. And I would say that, or gluten. And I would say that, like, the thing about dieting is it doesn't really matter too much what you're eating, as long as you're getting your nutrients, because you can always have supplements and all these things. What matters about dieting is what you're not eating. It's the elimination. For example, if you eat extremely healthy all week and then you have 1 day of dairy, and you're like, as a male, because dairy as a woman is a little different, but as a male, or just in general dairy, it's almost like you've just put something in your system that can totally clog you up, and it's not going to create that space. I'm extremely against the everything in moderation view.
Oh, okay.
I do not vibe with it. I think it's dangerous, and I don't think it's factually correct. I don't think it's smart. In fact, I know it's not factually correct, because you don't say murder in everything, just a little murder, right? You don't do that. And that's how I view pesticides. Why would you put poison in your body ever? One time in your whole life, there's no reason to ever do it ever. And so, and obviously our government subsidizes farms that use pesticides, which makes no sense, because pesticides, in my opinion, is the leading cause of climate change. And so there's a one kind of political reason why I am this way. And also the main reason is for my health. I just I can tell when I've had something that isn't organic, and for the most part, and it doesn't vibe with me. So I do eat meat, but that's a personal choice. I feel like everyone has their own personal dieting choices. I think the most important thing anyone can do on the planet right now, the most important personal choice that any human being can make, is to not buy or eat something with a pesticide in it. That I feel very strongly about. I don't think I would challenge any human to tell me something that they think could be a better lifestyle thing to do for both themselves and the planet. I don't think there is one. I can't even think of something that's even close to that. And so, yeah, if someone wants to eat better, they should eliminate dairy and they should eliminate pesticides. Some people can handle soy, some people can't. Some people can handle gluten, some people can't. If you really want to be safe, eliminate gluten, soy, dairy, and pesticides, and only eat organic food. If any human does that, after a month, they'll feel drastically different. Their body will change. But the problem is that most humans don't know how. They don't want to, because it takes effort. It takes times where if your friend wants to go to dinner, let's go to this place. No, I can't because it's not organic. Oh, what? You can't? Hey, there's a group of 6 of us. We're all going out to this place. You're like, okay. You go out and you don't eat. You don't eat that food with them. You sacrifice part of the camaraderie for the betterment of your body and the planet. And then you just prepare and you eat either before or after something organic. That's the life that I'm living right now.
Wow.
And in fact, I went out I remember it was our tour manager's brunch birthday, and we went out like 20 people. I didn't eat, I might have had like one little non-organic potato or something. For me, that's a cheat.
Yeah.
That potato looks so good. Let me just get one bite. That's a cheat, which I try not to cheat, but everyone, occasionally will do whatever. But
do you feel the pressure? Like, do you feel, did it, like, when you're behaving in this way? Cause like what you said, the camaraderie, right?
Right.
That's the thing. That's the biggest thing for me. It's always that. It's never like when I'm on my own, when I'm just with my partner, and like when I'm with friends who are eating that way and stuff, it's easy. But when it's out, right, parties.
Or like you're traveling, you're at an airport. You forgot to prepare.
Right.
Because you always got to prepare in advance too. Right. Luckily, there's pretty much any place that I've been, there's been an organic delivery option. Even in like, the worst has been when I had a show in this Harrodsburg, Kentucky, and they had a tiny, tiny organic section at a grocery store. But you can always get delivery, like on DoorDash, you just got to pay a little more. Yeah. So, and I'll do it where I'll just prepare and get like 3 meals in advance. I would say that, the key to the camaraderie issue is you just view it as like an allergy. No one's gonna, even your best friends, you go out to dinner with anyone, and you're like, oh, I'm actually like allergic to this.
Sorry, guys, I'm allergic to poison.
Right? No, but that's actually how.
No, but really, it's crazy though. It's insane that we live in a world where there's like, you go to the grocery store and it's like, oh, here's the poison food section, right? And here's like the regular food.
It's crazy.
Section.
That's really what's happening. Even like I saw Bernie Sanders made a post on his Facebook thing about, something about like food. It was something about food and like fossil fuel, and it didn't even mention to eat organic or pesticides or anything like this. And I commented on the thing. I never do stuff like this, but I commented. I was like, Bernie, not that he would ever see this, but like, Bernie, come on, let's educate the people here. Like, don't promote poison. You're literally promoting poison. It was like promoting food in an anti-climate change. I was like, you're promoting poisoning the planet in an anti-climate change post. You got to be kidding me. And I don't think he knows. I don't think. I think the majority of the government does not know.
Yeah. Well, like, look at where we are now in the world. This is what's been going on the last couple of years.
Now we're just in crazy dumb
we're
time.
in crazy clown world. But it's like you didn't turn on the news and they were like, turns out everybody's suffering from diabetes or heart conditions, or these health conditions are the most pressing conditions, and overweight and all this stuff. Maybe people should eat better. Get some sun.
I saw some statistic that
wild.
Was like, it is wild. And I saw a statistic that was something crazy. It was like 85% or 90% of the people that have died from COVID were obese.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, like something which then all of a sudden, if you take the death count down to a tenth of what it was, you're far below the normal flu, So is the problem really that, or is it obesity? Obviously it's both, but why not focus on the obesity? Because that's the change, that's going to make the difference.
Sure. Yeah, of course. But then you threaten these big industries,
you're threatening a whole industry. You can't do that.
Yeah. The agriculture industry, right. The pharmaceutical industry, right?
The agriculture industry, I feel like, is not ill-intended. I feel like they are controlled by, basically like Bayer. Right. Like Bayer is still in, look, you can make the argument against what I'm about to say, but Bayer was the company that was basically around and doing things in Nazi Germany.
Yeah. And
they were, the ones that were producing the gases that killed the Jews. And Bayer now owns, yes, of course, times have changed. They've apologized. Right? I don't know. I'm making a face, but Bayer now owns Monsanto, Trader Joe's, like all these things. And it what really is a terrible thing is people think Trader Joe's is healthy. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is owned by Bayer. They're by the way, Trader Joe's, many of the organic food that comes from Trader Joe's is not organic. It goes through a different certifier that's being certified by China. Yes.
Oh shit. You're blowing my mind right now.
I would if you can avoid Trader Joe's. I would never, ever in a billion years shop at Trader Joe's. That's probably one of the worst places a human being can get their food.
Well, how did you find this out? How did you know about this?
Research and just like talking to people who know what's up, but mainly research. It's public. All of it's not
96 hours of research. Otherwise, right. We could a simple. Can our leaders just help us, for crying out loud? Jesus,
I know it's
I mean, but this is good. I like to learn about these things because certain things just enter your reality field and certain things don't. And when you take an interest in something so important as, like, you are what you eat, let food be thy medicine. Like, we've heard it, right? Like, it's so important. You're literally 100%. Putting things into your body. And then we wonder why we have this disconnection in society where, we can't go 18 inches from here to here, the head to the heart.
It's like, would you intimately connect with a person that you are very unattracted to, who is going to give you all these terrible diseases and all these things, or they might, you're not sure, but they might, right? It's like they might. Would you connect intimately with that person just for a split second of bodily pleasure? No one in their right mind would. Right? Even sex addicts probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right? They would, because they are smart.
I mean, if it was Pamela Anderson from the 90s.
From the 90s. I know, that's funny about that. That reminds me of that Lit video. Remember that video with Lit that she was in? I don't know if you remember that.
Oh my God. Now I'm going to have to YouTube that now.
I know.
Get a little nostalgia.
I know.
But yeah, you're very passionate about this.
I'm very passionate about it.
It's very important. And you feel that it sort of is a fundamental fuel for your creation and your life, creating the life that you want to live and feeling the way that you want to feel.
100%. It's definitely an expression of my ultimate passion, which is living in a great vibration of love and joy and light and spreading that. And it's the same thing of like, you hang around with people that make you feel good because it makes you feel good. And then you can go and be that good feeling to others, right? You're taking on their vibe a little bit and then spreading that. Same thing with food. You're eating a little bit of that food and it's actually merging with you, right? Because we as a human being are just a bunch of little tiny, tiny specks of energy or matter or whatever that are all vibrating together, right? We're not actually solid. And so even though we are, but not on a scientific level, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can put in whatever vibe into that vibe that you want, and with the right tools can emanate that. And so if I can emanate the highest vibe possible on this planet, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be that high vibe. And that's the whole thing, besides, behind High Vibe Records and behind, Equanimous and just everything that I'm doing here with the brand and spreading that. And I think that concept is actually being understood by more and more people. Yeah. I'm seeing it. I'm actually seeing it through one of my songs, Cellular Upgrade, the We Sell Lions remix. I'm seeing people who did not have that awareness or way of thinking about things, and then listening to that song, and then after listening to that song, thinking differently because they're feeling the vibe.
Yeah.
It's like when you take a medicine, a psychedelic, you're different after that because you're merging with the plant.
Yes.
I feel like part of me, I feel very connected to the relationship between marijuana and tobacco.
Oh, cool. Hey, me too.
I don't smoke during the day, but when I do smoke, I make sure, of course, I would never, ever, 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 ever consciously smoke marijuana that is not organic. That is terrible. To smoke a poison? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right? And I wouldn't want the plant the plant's mother to be a light bulb. That's ridiculous. I want it to be the sun where nutrients are coming in. Light depth's fine, but and so I make sure that I smoke only organic, that mixed with only organic tobacco, where I can get the leaf shipped to me, where I see where it's coming. None of this American spirit bullshit. I can see where the leaf is coming. I can grind it myself. Okay. And so I've been merging with those plants for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have taken on some of the entities of those plants. Tobacco, in that I've become way more grounded and way more connected to spirit. Thank you, tobacco. Ganja, I've been way more expanding of my energy, creative, blissful. And so the combination of the two, I feel like has helped my own vibration at this time in my life. I might not always do it, but right now it's a good medicine for me. So that's another way where one can kind of like merge with a vibe to then emanate a vibe.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, those are master plants right there,
Master plants.
Real master plants. Yeah. I work with tobacco on many levels and play with it.
What do you smoke? What kind of tobacco do you smoke?
So recently I got this stuff from a friend that grows it in this farm in Crestone, Colorado.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's like this blonde amber.
Yeah. It's like a blonde
stuff.
Yeah. I like stuff like that.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's the best. And then I have stuff from, Brazil, Colombia, and Peru.
Amazing. Like Mapacho kind of. Mapacho's strong though. It's not like you can just every day.
No, I don't have that every day. It's more ceremonial usage. Right. And hape or rape, which is a snuff. Yeah.
I'll tell you this is an interesting story about rape. I don't do much rape at all. Done it once in the last 3 years. The one time when I did do it, I had COVID and I had lost my smell for 10 days and I was scared. I was like, losing smell is scary. It's a scary thing. And I was trying a bunch of different things. Roommate had some hape and I was like, I might as well try some. I did with intention. 2 hours later, I had my smell back. It's been back ever since.
There you go. Bless the master plant there. The master plant blesses you.
Blessing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, that these medicines have been revered for so long, is all the properties that they're able to provide us and open that clearing space to allow for that sort of symbiotic relationship to form. It's a relationship, right? It's right. Everything that you're talking about here is engaging with it with intention, with consciousness, with presence, and merging with that thing. So you guys are working together. You're working together with the cannabis. You're working together with the tobacco, with the organic tomatoes and the kale and things. You're working all together. It's a symphony. Right,
it's like a team. I like that.
It's a symphony.
Yeah. They're beautiful.
Yeah. You mentioned that you did a boga, or maybe a boga did you.
Fuck,
As I've heard,
Boga did me hard, bro.
I had an invitation to do it and I declined, but I am interested in it.
Make sure you got a couple months after to do nothing.
Okay, yeah. So, what was your? Tell me about your experience. Where did you do it?
I had always wanted to do a boga.
Yeah.
I always felt connected.
What drew you to it?
I just felt like it was the master.
Okay.
And it is, in a way. And I knew it was going to be intense, so I was always very patient. I was in a relationship, 2017. We split up. I just didn't want to deal with the pain. And I thought to myself, oh, this would be a good time to go do a boga. So I went and did it. And it was extremely intense. Days of tripping, can't move, just tons of crying and throwing up and screaming and just, man, that is it was very, very intense. Iboga was unlike nothing else in that it felt more physical, like a surgery. Like I felt like a lot of my pain and then the stories that were connected to it. In my mind, I had healed from those things, but I felt like Iboga went in there and just slashed it all up, especially with the Bwiti music that kind of throws you off. And it's like, did
you do this in Africa?
Almost, but I did it in Costa Rica. I looking back on it, I might have rather done it in Africa, but it was still, it was just intense. It was really intense. And, took me months to integrate. Once I did, though, I was having experiences where like there were certain things that would have triggered me in the past that were gone, like just gone. Like the feelings were gone. I don't know how else to say it, but like outside event happens, instead of, getting triggered, feeling an emotion about something that doesn't maybe have to do with that, but because you're naturally trying to protect yourself, you then take an action to like adjust the situation. That whole thing was just gone, for not necessarily for everything, but most things. And that created a massive just freeing up of things, and also of like inner talk, that a lot of that cleared out.
Okay. Yeah. Like the inner system of coping mechanisms.
Yeah. It just felt like I like moved a lot. Like, it felt like I moved more than now. I this is probably not necessarily true, but it felt like I moved, like take 1,000 humans. Okay. Maybe not 1,000, 500 humans, and add up what all of them have moved through to evolve spiritually. It felt like I did that for 500 humans within myself in the span of, this period of time.
Wow. That's big time.
On a physical level, that's the difference here. It's, it's not like, it's different from like therapy where you're working through things. Oh my God, I had this realization and now I feel better. But then the trigger comes and you're like, okay, I'm feeling the trigger, but my mind can work through it and I can be conscious about it now. Great. And that experience, of course, will happen in life because that's how you grow in things, rarely, but it will. But with the iboga, the step of being triggered in a lot of scenarios was gone.
Wow. So the whole step of it. So it just came to you. So something that ordinarily would have triggered you in the past to set you off on that sort of protocol or system of events of like, okay, now this happens, now that happens, now I have to come into awareness, create space to move through, consciously communicate this.
Right.
That whole process was basically obsolete because you had to upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like a humongous upgrade, like a surgery. And now if there are scenes where I feel a trigger, I've obviously experimented with different things of how to deal with that. And what I found works is, for me, is actually just stillness. Is patience and stillness, and just like is actually being equanimous.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And that power of equanimity to then allow those things to just transmute on their own. As Rumi would say, quoting his, or para-quoting his poem, The Guest House.
Yeah. Yeah. Invite them in.
Yeah. Invite them in, let them go.
And invite them in for tea and send them on their way.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's it's such a huge improvement in life when you can, flow through and not get, drowned down by things. Are there any things that still, are there any things that really trigger you, piss you off, get you upset, send you into hopelessness, despair, or just like anger, rage?
Yeah. I mean, there has been. The biggest one is, if I'm being honest, the mandates.
Yeah.
It pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
That the United States wants to take over people's bodies. And I get it. They're trying to be healthy. They're trying to be safe. I've talked to so many people on both sides. But what pisses me off even more is that the majority of people, like the phenomenal majority of people, are against mandates.
Yeah.
Right. The majority of people who have been vaccinated are against mandates. So the fact that the government is making a decision that they feel like is right against the decisions of the people, it triggers me. But the thing is, that should never not trigger me.
Right.
Like, that's a good trigger to have.
Right.
Because it will protect. It causes me to want to act to protect. Sure. Which, of course, is like a natural biological trait of a male specimen, or not male-bodied specimen, but a male specimen. And so, like,
you're on the alert. You're like,
I think it's an okay, right? I think
you're
I'm
like,
okay
something
with that
is, messages from the environment.
It means my body's working right. Like,
your body's working right.
Emotional guidance system. Yeah,
totally. You're receiving the signals properly, I would say, right?
Right. It's like,
hey, this is not so good, guys. This is not so good.
Maybe let's do something here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's been a whole thing for me forever. I mean, previous to doing this podcast, I did a political show, and I used to identify as like a hardcore libertarian or anarchist, or now I'm just whatever.
You're you.
I'm me. But I'm still informed by that stuff. I believe that everybody should be free to do whatever they wish, as long as they're causing no harm to anybody else. We should be able to make decisions based upon for our bodies. Our bodies are choice, our minds are choice, our spirits are choice. At least having the choice, there. Yeah, I got COVID, and I got tested. I got a blood test, and I have natural immunity. And I talked to people. You
should be able to use that.
I should be able to use that if I want to go to a fucking show at Red Rocks or whatever the fuck,
Although I heard Red Rocks doesn't check.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I know most of Denver does, but Red Rocks doesn't.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Yeah, it makes me upset. It's like creating this sort of like segregated class.
There's
almost
obviously
like
some shit going down, and people, there's something happening. I don't know what it is. I'm not too worried about it, and the main reason is because I do believe that the UFO phenomena will eventually outweigh that. And
whoa, really? Yeah, dude, awesome. I love that you're bringing it to this level. I was just like, sweet. All right, cool, man. Yeah, please. What do you elaborate on that?
I mean, I'm assuming you're aware that the government, government official went on 60 Minutes on CBS News.
Yeah.
And not only said that there are thousands of UFOs in our sky every day. This is multiple governments officials saying this. Thousands in our sky every day.
Yeah.
But that they're dismantling nuclear missiles. For the government to say something like that is absurd. It reminds me, in Hawaii, there was that everyone got, a couple years ago, I remember my friends got this too. There's like a red alert, like this is not people on their phone got like, this is not a drill. There's a missile headed our way.
Oh yeah, I
And-
remember that.
And it is to my belief that this was one of them that the UFOs dismantled. And so like even if it wasn't the case, just the fact that there are unidentified flying objects, thousands of them in our sky, performing and doing things that are not known to human technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of extraterrestrial contact reports. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
It is only, in my opinion, unless these extraterrestrials are unless these extraterrestrials are literally in control of what's happening here, which is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they are, then there's no way. It's unavoidable. At some point, there will be, I think, a mainstream vibrational awareness around these other beings. And I think that will bring in a type of awareness and consciousness that is bigger than the whole COVID thing. And that will just shut it up. And I don't know for a fact, obviously, but that's my belief.
Unless the aliens come down here and try and make contact, but they don't have their vaccine passport to show. It's like, nah, sorry.
The U.S. is like, sorry, to come into Earth, you need to be vaxxed.
I know you flew here from Zeta Reticula and all, but if you don't have proof of vax, you can't come in.
Right, that's hilarious. And then the some of the extraterrestrials are like, I'm told they like to be called extraterrestrials, by the way, not aliens. But some of the I just was told this the other day. Yeah. Some of the extraterrestrials are like, oh, no, but I actually have religious exemption.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you guys don't worship Gluflark the Third?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen a UFO?
I have seen one UFO one time.
Cool.
Yeah. But like, it was an unidentified flying object. I can't be like, that's an alien. I was in Sedona. It was recently. It was within the last year. I saw it just kind of like, it almost looked like a really slow shooting star. It was faster than a plane for sure, but like a slow shooting star. It kind of just like, I was looking for it. It wasn't like it just randomly came. I need to be honest. Like I was sitting in Sedona staring at the sky, being like, I want to see one of these things.
Were you doing the C5 contact Stephen Greer thing?
No, I was just like, I was just like trying to talk spirit. And for a while, nothing came, but eventually something came. And it was like this, it was rotating. It was like it. Okay, this is how I'm going to explain it. It didn't look like it was rotating in a circle, but it looked like there was something around it, like a light rotating, because like there would be like a blue light kind of at one point. And then on the other corner would be a different it was just like, it was kind of like inconsistently lighting up. It wasn't to rhythm, like a plane is to rhythm. This was not to rhythm. Or it was to a different rhythm that it wasn't a plane's rhythm. And it kind of just flew across the sky pretty fast. I would say it took like, 10 seconds to get from one end of the sky to the other. Yeah. Which at first I was like, wait, maybe it was a plane. Can a plane do that? And then I like talked to some people. They're like, no, a plane cannot do that.
Right.
You can't just fly across the whole entire sky in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And, but I feel like a shooting star can do that in 1 second. That's why I said it was like a slower version of a shooting star.
Sure. Yeah. So I saw something similar when I was 13. I was we were playing basketball, actually. Me and my friends, summer night, 13 years old, playing basketball. Where? New York.
Yeah.
And we look, not New York City, outside like the suburbs, clear skies. And we were looking up at the stars, and someone said, one looks like it's moving. And we saw it just shoot across. Like it was here, and then it was just like here. And then it went here, and then it went back down. It like zigzag, stopped on a dime, and then poof, gone. And it moved so fast that we were all just like, that's what is that?
Interesting. So I've never heard anyone say what I'm about to say, but what about the idea that there's just a whole fleet of them, and that's just them being invisible and some of them popping out and popping out. Like that could literally explain all of these like crazy movements.
Oh yeah, dude.
You know?
Yeah, they could be invisible. They could be from another dimension, popping in and out of dimensions. There's the theory of they live under the ocean, center of the earth.
Right.
There's
so much.
all these different species.
They're us from the future.
They're us
That's
from
the
the
most
future.
popular one. Simulation theory.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which Elon Musk just came out and said, like, you know, he said he's pro simulation theory, which says basically like, okay, either we are the first civilization and we grow and our technology grows big enough to, humans, our planet is the first, right? And we grow enough where we can then create a whole entire other simulation of these humans. Either that's the case, or we're already a simulation created from one of the first.
Yeah, we've already done that.
We've already done
the simulation.
that, and we're just one of a billion of them, you know?
Right.
And so he says, I feel a little differently, but Elon Musk would argue that that's why we are in a simulation, because the odds are so low, infinitesimally low, that we would be the first.
Yeah. I think he's referring to Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence, where he talks about Fermi's paradox, which is this thing of like, well, why haven't we seen extraterrestrial life? And there's 3 different theories, and simulation theory is in there. And then there's another one that says that basically there is no intelligent life because they've all blown themselves up because they haven't been able to handle the lack of advancement of consciousness with the advancement of technology. And the ones who have survived are coming here to basically, this isn't part of his theory, but this is what I think.
Right.
They're coming here, and that's why they're blasting the nukes and they're blasting the missiles, because they're like, hey, we want you guys to like have a chance here. Don't fuck this up.
Right. They're helping us out. Yeah, I could totally see that. I'm pro extra. I'm pro ET.
Yeah, I'm pro ET too. Yeah, I'm definitely pro ET. And I would say that if any language is going to be transmitted between our species and an ET species, it's going to be a language of vibration, music.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Like,
yep.
Get down to some funky Equanimous vibes.
Yeah, I mean, my ultimate kind of like material goal in life, and this has always been it ever since I was young, and it hasn't changed once, is to play music out of the sky, my music out of the sky. End of sentence. Where everyone can hear it, every human. And I feel like before I was like, that's not possible. I was like, no way. Now, I think it's going to happen? No, but I can grasp how that might be possible. If I were to form a relationship with an extraterrestrial, and I give him like a little USB, and the extraterrestrial in their technology goes up there and puts on some kind of a speaker onto the earth and plays one of my tracks, it will unify humanity. They might get ununified, but they'll be unified because everyone will be listening to one sound at the same time.
Yeah, that's a worthy goal.
Yeah, thanks. I hope it happens.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think it will, man. Just hold
89.
that vision. Yeah. Hold that vision. Create the feeling. Meditate on it every day.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, dude. I appreciate you taking the time and rapping with me here. And I love where the conversation went and where.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah, man. What do you got coming up? What's in the works? What are you excited about?
I got a lot coming up. When is this coming out? Or do we know this? Or
yeah, I'm going to try and get this out as soon as possible because cool. I'm running a little behind here. So
got it. Okay, so I would say, what's coming up? I'm playing, ton of shows depending on where you are. Just go to my website, equanimouslove.com. You can check out my shows. Can be in LA, Austin, Orlando, Dallas, Portland, in California. Just different things coming up.
Coming to Denver?
No, I just played in Denver. I was.
You did?
Yeah. Well, I played in Denver. What was my show? It was in July.
Okay.
But I actually was in Denver 2 weeks ago. I played a private gathering for a wonderful human being who owns flowers.com, actually. Yeah, he's a great guy. So I was just there for like a weekend. But yeah, I'm assuming I'll be in Denver, but probably not. Honestly, probably not until the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the live stuff. I got a lot of new music coming out. I got an EP with Stoic coming out. Lots of remixes coming out. Just lots of music. So, stay tuned. Lots of cool content too. Listening, you can follow me on Instagram at Equanimous Love. Pretty easy to find. Check out my Spotify if you feel like supporting. That's what supports me the most right now in life is Spotify, actually. Yeah, that's kind of what's ahead.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to just connecting again. I feel like we just scratched the surface. I mean, I hate to cut the conversation short when we start talking about extraterrestrials because there's so much more to go, but it's good for a continuation for part 2. So
totally. Yeah.
Equanimous Love. Check him out, ladies and gents.
Thanks so much.
He is Equanimous. It's a perfect name for you, man.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and everybody go follow him, check him out. Any last words here? One word or 3 or 2 or a sentence. Send the people off with some high vibes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my classic quote Jackie Moon from Semi Pro, Mr. Wolfero, and just say ELE. Everybody love everybody.
There we go. Everybody love everybody. Much love all. Peace. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Please just tell people about it. Do what you do when you like things and you're excited about it. Share it. Tell people. Subscribe. All that good stuff. All the links are in the show notes if you want to check out how you can support the show, whether it's just leaving 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whether it's becoming a Patreon member or whether it is, just sending me like a gold brick. Whatever you guys want to do. I love you all. And check out our sponsors. They support us. So check them out, support them. They're great. Element Kombucha, Fungi Academy, Being True to You. Man, get yourself some of that kombucha. I'm telling you. Save with Mike 11%. And we're out. Much love. Much love. Peace.
Thank you.